What's up, guys? It's Morbid Curiosities, your favorite horror movie podcast, and we're back with another episode. I'm your host, Nicholas Ewers, and coming straight from the Bone Temple himself, the host of the These Guys Got Juice podcast, Doug Davenport. How's it going, Doug?
It's going good. I'm all boned up, ready to go.
you got a boner going on? Is that
sure? Or I got a bone to pick with this movie. No, that makes it sound like I'm angry. Got a bone to pick with Nia DaCosta.
I'm gonna get that could be the title of your YouTube video.
It's just a thumbnail of me like pointing and I'm like angry. And for some reason Kathleen Kennedy's face is there too with like X's on her eyes. I'm like, yeah.
There's a YouTuber who covers a lot of horror movies, and I guess I won't say who they are, but their thumbnail, it's always a picture of them and they're like rolling their eye or looking in the corner. I'm like, okay, take it easy with the faces, guys. Do we need all the faces?
That's how you get the clicks. You gotta be doing some like Jim from The Office stuff. Like,
That is true. There are times I'm like, okay, there's a face, so this is a person. I know it's not AI doing this video.
Yeah, AI could never make faces like that, ever.
Yeah, there's a lot of AI YouTube out there, which some of it I don't even realize on my first go that it's AI, and then I go to the comments and people are like, AI garbage, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is AI garbage, and I'm just like, I'm gonna find something else.
I've been recommended music on my YouTube algorithm, and I'm like, oh, this kind of sounds like cool, like older stuff. Like, oh, someone did a cool rendition of something from like that sounds like the 30s or 40s, and then someone in the comments like, yeah, AI could perfectly replicate that old sound. I'm like, oh, motherfucker.
No, not good. It really sucks when you get deceived by AI at this point.
Because it's getting like harder to spot. It's like almost like I need to program an AI to find the A. We need a good Terminator. I need an Arnold Schwarzenegger carrying a flower box with a shotgun in it to protect me from the bad AI.
Save us, T1000. Wait, it's the T800, right?
Yeah, T800 is Arnie.
Is the bad one.
That's the liquid one. Yeah.
And we don't like liquid here on this podcast. So just saying it now.
When it's liquid metal, I'm just sus of it. I'm like, those two things shouldn't go together.
Nope. I only like liquid metal when it's on Sirius XM. It's a joke for a couple people. I don't know who still has satellite radio nowadays.
They tried to give it. My mom got a new car that like 3 months of Sirius XM, and we were both like, I don't think we're ever going to use this.
Well, so while we're on the topic of AI, something that could never be made by AI or like was so clearly built by a human, very sloppy, lazy segue. 28 years later, the Bone Temple.
No, it's a perfect segue. Yeah. This is the human franchise.
Yeah, and that was a very human segue. AI couldn't have segued that human.
Yeah, it would have been cleaner. It would have been too clean.
It would have been way cleaner. Too clean. We can't have that.
No, we're keeping it real.
Yeah, so 28 years later, The Bone Temple, directed by Nia DaCosta. This movie, Doug, did you want to give your initial thoughts first? You're the guest, so I'll give you the option. Do you want to go first, or would you prefer if I get thrown to the wolves?
I can throw out some initial thoughts. I mean, I was going into this with like pretty high expectations. I really, really love this franchise, specifically the original movie, and then the 28 years later. Like both of the Danny Boyle entries are highly regarded, and like not just amongst my favorite like horror zombie movies, but just like favorite movies, period. And like that last entry felt so fresh and reinvigorating, where I was like, okay, we've like redefined like what a zombie movie could be, like what this franchise can be, like what is the 28 years later franchise. And I think this movie takes that baton and goes in some interesting directions with it. To me, it doesn't feel like quite as like a bolt of lightning is like invigorating. Like some of the stuff feels like, "Oh, could this be in just, like, another post-apocalyptic movie?" Like, not specific to 28 years later, but then there's the stuff that feels very, very specific to this world and to these characters, and that's the stuff that I really liked, but it was slightly uneven for me, like, not necessarily in a bad way, it's just, like, wasn't I wasn't even sure what to expect. All I knew is that, this was the middle section of a trilogy, and we'll talk about with regards to like I was kind of like left feeling cold in terms of like, oh, the main character we followed in the last one, this movie kind of doesn't care about him. So I had to readjust like how I was watching it based on that, because I was like, oh, this is not going to be like a big development for Spike. I guess like he's like he's taking a back seat.
You know, before I get into my initial thoughts, I didn't really when you say the movie is uneven, that's something I didn't really think about or feel when I was watching the movie, but hearing you say I do totally get that criticism when I'm thinking about how the movie is kind of split up without spoiling it. It is almost like half of a conventional zombie movie that still in ways pushes a lot of boundaries that you aren't seeing in like horror in general, I would say. And then this like really just different thing that we'll get into, but it's like half conventional and half like very
And
unconventional.
then the two halves kind of mash themselves together by the end, but even that kind of feels like not quite natural. Almost like, okay, we had to get to this point, so this is why we're doing it this way. But then I like not that I didn't enjoy that climax, but I was kept thinking of like, oh, was there like something more original we could have done here?
Yeah, so I really see where you're coming from when you say that. And I again, when you talk about like the main character, I'll try to like be very tiptoey with this. And the main character from 28 Years Later, Spike, and his role in this movie, that's another thing too, where I was so like sucked into this movie that I didn't think about that until after the fact. So I totally understand going into this watching and being like, oh, this is different than the last movie. It's not what I expected it to be.
Right. Like still a lot of good interesting stuff, but it's not like, you know, chapter 1 of Spike's Mythic Quest, we already saw, and this isn't really like the next entry. It's kind of just like getting Spike to the next place where there'll be some like he's definitely going to do some shit in the next, with everyone he's meeting in the next movie. But yeah, here he's kind of just like in a holding pattern.
Yeah, in a way, I'll save this thought for spoilers. Actually, we can get into that in spoilers. I'll bang out my initial thoughts real quick, and then we can hop into the meat of this because as we're getting into this, I'm like, oh man, there's so much like juicy stuff to talk about.
There's stuff in here. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why we got, two of the guys from These Guys Got Juice doing this. This is another bit of a crossover episode. Talk about a very juicy movie.
There was just too much juice here that we had to unearth it.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, man. I have a feeling you'll be talking about it across 2 feeds at the very least. There's a good chance that might happen. It wouldn't surprise me.
There's a very good chance that would happen just because I'm going to see this multiple times, and maybe how I feel about it might change. Maybe I'll do a 180. I'll be like, no, this actually clears the first one out of the water. Danny Boyle's a hack. Fuck Danny Boyle.
Yeah. That I kind of had a bit of a turnaround with the first 28 Years Later myself. I saw it the first like opening night and walked out being having the same reaction you had actually, being like this is different than what I thought it was going to be. And then it was one of those situations where when I knew what it was, I walked in the very next day and was just completely like I had a 180. I was like, okay, I'm vibing with this thing. I'm vibing with what it's doing now that I know what it is. And yeah, that might happen with the Bone Temple. I get that if it doesn't, but, yeah, I had a very similar experience with the first 28 years.
I'm just very curious how it will all fit together. Like once we have 3 and we can watch it as a completed trilogy, like will that track as an arc, you know, like or will it just feel like 3 separate movies? Which is either way is fine. Like it doesn't need to not everything needs to be meticulously like mapped out ahead of time. I'm just curious like how much thought did they put into that?
I have a feeling there will be an arc for Spike by the end of it, but
Yeah,
I am very surprised by how much of a separation between these movies there. It does feel chaptered off in a way, kind of like this is a chapter two of this story. We're getting it like just a different slice than we got in the first movie. Without again spoiling, I feel like I'm becoming dangerously close. Like we'll see what parts of that slice are going to carry over into the next one, and it may not be what you think it's going to be.
right.
But my initial thoughts on this one, I thought this movie was phenomenal. I was completely blown away by it when I saw it just from beginning to end. I remember too, I forgot what happened. Oh, I remember what happened. I walked into the movie theater with my girlfriend, and I've been dealing with a little bit of a back issue. I just had a terrifying MRI, which was more terrifying than any horror movie I think I'll ever see. I really realized how claustrophobic I was, and I tested the points of my anxiety in that moment
So you don't
today.
wanna go spelunking with me next weekend in that in the same cave from The Descent? Because I was gonna do that.
I could never. I was just thinking, "Oh my god, that lady in the Blair Witch, I would rather die than be her, the one who gets, stuck in the fucking tunnel." I haven't seen the
Oh.
original, so I'm not sure if it happens in the original, but it happens in the
Oh, you've
sequel,
never
the
seen the oh, wow.
2016 one, it
Yeah,
happens
yeah.
in there, and I had a panic attack watching that movie. I'm very claustrophobic, so, I kept thinking about Final Destination Bloodlines too, that didn't help. It was
Yeah,
very
don't think about horror
uncomfortable.
movies while you're getting your MRI.
It was hard. They kept popping in my head. Blair Witch did pop in my head. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna die in here." Um, but, yeah, so I had a bit of a moment of back pain and totally fumbled and dropped almost all of my girlfriend's, chicken nuggets all over the theater floor as we were
Damn.
walking, and so I had a real fucking moment, and I realized that the 2 seats that I had bought us didn't have recliners, so
Damn.
so sitting in the theater was gonna be a bit more uncomfortable than I expected with my back stuff, so I was like, "Damn it," like, at least activity you can do with, like, a hurt back, like, a very simple activity is go see a movie, and, I was like, "Damn, this." I was immediately put in a bad mood, and I was like, "Fuck, this is gonna ruin the movie for me. I'm not gonna be able to podcast about it. Doug's gonna hate me. We're gonna stop being friends." And then and I was just running all the scenarios, and then the movie kicks on. I saw that Sony logo. I was like, "I'm in good hands." Sony Columbia Columbia.
That was it is there is something comforting about that. Ding! I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm home."
Yeah, it reminds me of Spider-Man a little bit,
Yeah.
but, the movie begins, and I'm just immediately sucked back into this world. I picked right back up where I left off, didn't even realize how excited I was to be in more of this world, as fucking dark as it is, and this movie goes to some pretty dark places.
Oh, yeah.
But from beginning to end, I was locked in, and this movie pushed my limits as a horror viewer at a certain point. There was a point where I thought I was gonna start gagging. It got
Mm.
so, uh, gross and like, it was almost just so overwhelming at a certain point. I was like, "I don't know if I can handle this." And it just I walked out of this movie, and I aside from the MRI, I have not been able to get this thing off my mind all day, all night. I am just like, "Fuck yeah." Nia DaCosta delivered an incredible horror movie, and while it doesn't really expand on Spike's story, a whole bunch. I wonder if we're gonna see a ripple effect from this movie carry out into the third one to make this one feel a bit more substantial,
Because
maybe?
it does expand, I guess, the lore, for lack of a better word, like, of the 28 franchise. Like, there's new stuff is uncovered of like, "Oh, I didn't know that was this was possible."
Yeah. And I just really loved my time with this thing. When I walked out of the theater, or when the movie ended, I was sitting there during the credits, and there was this older like group of women. They were sitting there one row in front of us. They were just talking about the movie the whole time, and I couldn't really catch a lot of what they were saying. But then the usher came in and was like, "Hey, what did you guys think of the movie?" And they were like, "It was phenomenal." And I looked at my girlfriend, I was like, "That's the exact word I put in my review on Letterboxd. Follow me at Nicholas Ewers." I was just riding a high. A couple people tried to get an applause break at the end of this movie going. I wish I could join in, but I was on the other side of the theater.
I guess the ending of this, you could applaud to, because I got hyped. Like, there is a hype moment at the end where I was like, "Oh, fuck yeah."
I think this movie is just so gripping and it like intense. I was kind of surprised there were like no walkouts or everybody was like super cool. Like this movie did seem like a genuine crowd pleaser, which is surprising
I
to
I
me.
I mean, we'll talk about, yeah, because like, I feel like this one's gonna go down smoother, it seems like, with general audiences than the last one, which is funny because, as we'll get to in spoilers, like, there's some weird stuff.
Yeah, and the last one, I don't know. I'm surprised that one wasn't the crowd pleaser of the two. If we're gonna like try and say like which one was more crowd pleasing than the other, because when I watched the first one, I was like, this is very watchable. You know what I mean? It's a very
Yeah.
watchable zombie movie,
And it's
and
like a hero's journey, it almost feels like mythic in a
yeah,
way.
it has like a traditional. It almost feels like a New Hope kind of
A little
in a
bit.
way. Yeah, and this one really pushes the limits, I think, in the horror side of things. But and I'm just surprised that that was a something audiences, at least the audience I was with, was really able to sit through and want to clap after
Yeah,
watching.
because there's no clean story structure in this one, and yeah, like, the things to clap to are mainly just, like, the excitement that it is building and, like, ends you on for the next one. Like, that made me wanna applaud of like, "Oh, fuck yeah, here we go."
Yeah. My breath was taken away at a couple moments. I even gasped at one moment that after the movie, I was talking to my girlfriend. I was like, I gasped at a certain I can't believe I almost gasped at that. Or I did gasp at that. It was fucking wild. But I mean, are you ready to hop into spoilers? You got anything else you want to tell the people about before we get there?
I think I'm ready to do spoiler, but yeah, just, for frame of reference, not that, Rotten Tomatoes means jack shit, but, like, the user review for that, for the first 28 years later, was at 63% compared to the critics had 89%. And right now the Bone Temple is 93% critics, 91% audience. So yeah, the
Mm.
first 28 years seemed to be a little divisive. For, I mean, kind of speaking to what you said, like, just going in of like, this isn't what because there's already been one sequel already, 28 weeks, and years is nothing like that. It's kind of just being like, no, push to what to the side. We're doing like a different thing.
And I mean, congrats to Nia DaCosta. I love to see it, but like I mean, because I'm a big defender of her Candyman, and I am a
Oh,
big
Candyman's
defender of
great.
the Marvels too. The Marvels is a very funny Marvel movie, I
She has a
think.
new movie that's on. I don't know when she
Hedda,
would have. Yeah, I still have to see Hedda.
yeah, Hedda's very good too. I forgot that she directed that, and then I'm like, oh, I just watched that movie like a month ago, and that's on Prime. I want to say,
Yeah, I'm like, when does she have time to do all this? She did a she did a Bone Temple,
yeah,
and then like that movie too. Crazy.
Hedda's great. I wouldn't be surprised if she shot Hedda after Bone Temple and was able to just edit it and get
Because
it
there's
out
less
before.
effects, presume in Hedda, or
And I think they did Bone Temple in the first one. I think they shot them at the same time, so that one
kind of
probably
back to
got to
back.
sit
Yeah.
for a little bit, and she probably got to do Hedda while that one sat around for a little bit, waited to release. And then they did, I think, bump up the release date for the Bone Temple. This was supposed to come on like March, I want to say.
But it was getting like really buzzy early like reviews, so I think that might have played a part of it. And they just went ahead and announced that like, okay, part 3 is a go, because originally it was gonna the word was from like Boyle and other people of like, well, we'll see how Bone Temple does. Like, we might not, we might not have the money or the demand to do like part. Which, can you imagine this movie ending like it does, and then we don't get a follow up on that?
Yeah,
That would
that would
be
be
crazy.
so weird. It would be almost as weird as the Fast and Furious 10 ending.
That's the canonical ending. That
Y- yeah.
Vin and his son are on a dam that's exploding, and everyone died. That's how those movies end.
Yeah. But yeah, I noticed like in the marketing, and I promise we'll get to spoilers soon, guys, but in the marketing for the first movie, Alex Garland was at the forefront of a lot of it. He was the one doing the podcast a lot of the times. I saw him in the YouTube videos. Uh, Nia DaCosta, she's like the face of this advertising thing. I see her all over the place out there interviewing. I think that's a very smart move to put her at the front of this. I think she's like a great personality
I
and
think she developed a following of her own, like with Candyman, because like that movie almost has a fandom. Like, there is overlap with the overall Candyman fandom, but I feel like that movie itself has its appreciators who are like, oh no, this is just like a really interesting take and like an interesting filmmaking voice that I want to see more of. So I could see people who aren't even normally like horror people being like, oh, she has a new thing out. Okay, let's fucking see it.
yeah. So great for her. I'm happy for her success
I
and
I
can't
I'll,
wait.
I even forgive her for going on blank check and saying the fog isn't very good. That's how much I appreciate what she did here.
I didn't remember that, but that's weird to have her on if she didn't like it.
She was just kind of dismissive of it. She was kind of just like, yeah, this isn't that great, right?
Yeah, that's funny.
Like, Nia, there's a fog. What else do you want?
Yeah. So, spoilers ahead for 28 years later, The Bone Temple. Let's just do a little table setting and then I guess we can kind of like hop around if we don't want to cuz the movie's like still pretty fresh in my mind. I'm not confident I'll be able to tackle it in order, so we'll just see how the flow of this thing goes. This movie essentially picks up right where the last one left off. We're with Spike and the group of Jimmies,
Right.
all of our favorite Jimmies. They're like in this pool basically, and Spike is having a fight to the death with one of the Jimmies. Does he get to pick his own Jimmy like one of the guys later in the movie does?
I feel like one of them just comes forward and is just like, yeah, like that confrontation's so chaotic because they're all just kind of like, chanting around him and kind of scaring him. And then this one, I think the one that he fights is Jimmy Shite, because if I'm looking at IMDb, like they have like little, they're all Jimmy, but then they'll have like a second name, like the leader, Sir Jimmy Crystal. There's Jimmy Jones, Jimmy, Jemima, Jimmy Snake,
Yeah.
and then just based on how this guy looks, I think Jimmy Shite's the one that he fights.
Yeah. So right away, we're just getting thrown right into this. This movie gets pretty intense and stressful right off the bat. At
It's
least
bloodier than the first one, I would say. I mean, there's violent, people get their heads ripped off in the first one, but we're definitely like in more gory, gruesome territory in this one.
I didn't really know exactly what to expect after 28 years later ended, but I didn't really expect this. I didn't know what the deal was going to be with this group, but part of me was wondering, is 28 years later the Bone Temple going to be these guys welcome Spike into his group, and then we start to really see what mainland UK is like after the infection, and we're gonna learn, oh, it's actually not the nightmare that his dad kind of made it seem to be, and it was gonna like, I felt like there was gonna be a lot of nuance to it, and we were gonna get, like, okay, there's I thought we were gonna get a bunch of different variety of people, maybe, like, a
Like different
mix.
factions and stuff, maybe.
Yeah, and I thought it was gonna be totally proving Spike's dad wrong
This
by
is
the
almost
end of
proving
it.
him right. It's like, it's fucking scary and everyone's awful out there.
Immediately, you're like, "Oh, no, this group is not good for Spike. I This is, bad immediately. Go back to the island, kid. You're not cut
They
out
don't
for
seem
this."
like a good influence. So I haven't re-listened to your 28 years episode, but do you mention like what these guys are like modeled after, like why they're called Jimmys and like why they're dressed like that?
We did not. So if you know that, that would be awesome if you could get into it, because I wasn't aware of this information last time we recorded. Unfortunately, these 28 years later episodes, the weapons one, they've kind of been a bit more reactionary because of how soon we've recorded after seeing them.
Well, and some of this stuff is like Garland's putting stuff in that's so like hyper specific to like British culture. So like I really only knew very tangentially about this guy Jimmy Savile, who was like a he was basically like a kid's entertainer, a media personality. He was like a DJ. I don't even know what the American equivalent would be. It would be like if Mr. Rogers did a lot more shit, like publicly, like if he was like at events and like hosting different programs and shit. And then yeah, he had like the long blonde hair like that they're wearing. And then after he died in 2011, it came out that he was a horrible pedophile and was abusing like kids all the time. And I guess people knew, but they were, like he was making a lot of money, so they covered it up a little bit. And yeah, this all this horrible shit. I think there's like a documentary on Netflix about it. I do not have the stomach to watch that documentary. It sounds probably just really awful, but um yeah, if you want to know more about his crimes, you can watch that doc. But this is like an alternate world where, so because of like, when did the outbreak happen in the 28 years universe? It was like 2000.
2002 or 2003, I think.
So a kid who grew up during this time, he would have known Jimmy from the TV, but never would have found out that he was evil. Like so like he's like still like a role model and someone to look up to for like our Jimmy Crystal, which is interesting. So it's like this like weird subversion of like, but it also almost conflicts with their, because like even from their point of view, they know what they're doing is fucked up. Like, because like I didn't know that going in that they were Satanists. So like that being like their belief system is, it's like this weird dichotomy between like, okay, their role model is this guy who they think is like wholesome, uh a good person who is later unveiled to not be that, but then also they worship the devil. So
Yeah.
it's like okay, it's like, which one is it? I mean, the things aren't as different. We know that, but like for them, it's like, hmm, which, so seems like you're really more into the devil thing.
Alex Garland really twisted a very dark web with this whole character right here. And you almost have to applaud him for being able to reach to such vile places in reality and be like, okay, this character is an amalgamation of something so terrible, and he is going to enact terrible things across people. But then he's also half influenced by Teletubbies too. And
That seems
that's his
funny
whole
when he's
deal.
just describing like what it is like, nah, yeah, he's got like a TV on his belly.
There's a scene where he's telling a story, like he's almost describing an episode of Teletubbies, and I was reading online that somebody was saying it's actually the Book of Eden and talking about the forbidden fruit, and it's
Ooh,
not even an actual episode of Teletubbies.
that's
And so I
crazy.
wonder if there was something to that, and that's a part of Jimmy's fucked up. What would you even call it? This fucked up.
His like belief system, because it's like a
Yeah.
rejection of Christian. His dad was, part of the church, and so he's rejecting that and rejecting Christianity, and that's where the Satanism comes from, I guess. But then you're also layering the hero worship of this horrible person into it too, and then this like all the child cultural things he would have been influenced by as a kid. So it's like he never grew up from being that scared kid that we see in the beginning of uh the prologue of the first 28 years, but he just amassed a gang and like of some other kind of lost boys, and now they just go around rampaging and like killing people.
And like every kid who grows up to be, damaged by their father, he basically goes in the opposite direction of his father. His father is like, this is, the rapture or whatever. He doesn't straight up say that, but his dad in the last movie is like a priest or some type of pastor for a church in their area.
He's kind of happy that this is happening. It looks like that, like when the zombies are here, he's like, oh, finally.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, God sent this." Yes. And so he totally welcomes being turned into a zombie, and then a zombified version of his dad ends up leading a crowd of other zombies out of the church.
Almost looks like he's like an alpha, or like an early version of an alpha or something.
So he says, I want to say in that line, "Father, why have you forsaken me?" which comes back at the end of this movie. That's kind of nice. But he just basically goes in the opposite direction. And I kind of thought that made sense. I'm like, okay, he's a kid, so he doesn't really have like all the gray area about religions in the world that you grow up to get as an adult that would turn you into an agnostic or make you start to question. So he just pivots in the opposite direction. Like,
It's like,
uh,
okay, the devil then, the
yeah,
Satan.
my dad abandoned me. I think this is horseshit. This was actually the devil, and the devil caused all of this, and I'm just going to turn my beliefs in the opposite direction. And as ridiculous of an idea that Satanism is and seems to be, because I could see that it just sounds silly, I think, especially in this day and age, the idea of Satanism, but
It
it
is.
makes sense in
It
this
it make
movie for this character to go there.
it makes sense for that character, and then also in the world they inhabit. Like, where do you think they don't know that it was a monkey in a lab started all this? That's the rage virus. So if you have any kind of religious inkling, and then you see what I mean, they're not the dead rising or whatever, but you see someone go down and then they come back as a bloodthirsty monster, then you're gonna think that that's like demonic, right? Like that looks like evil.
Yeah, so where the character is with his beliefs, I fully buy. But yeah, Jimmy, he's a fucking horrific dude. I
He's
did
not nice.
Yeah, he kind of a bad guy. Somebody should arrest him, I think.
Oh, shit, there's no more cops. Who's gonna arrest him?
But yeah, we had talked about before the spoiler section about how this movie is kind of split into two parts that really meet at the end. And I kind of like that a little bit, that framing for this movie that we've landed on for it.
Because the whole time I didn't know they kept showing the Golden Temple and Dr. Kelson in the previews, but I was like, okay, how is that gonna work in with the Jimmys? Initially, from the way they were advertising it, I thought Kelson was gonna like intentionally infect himself or something with like alpha
Yeah,
blood or something, and then
that
like and
poster really made it seem that way.
he looked infected, and I was like, oh, so he's gonna like go crazy and like fight the Jimmys or something.
I didn't see a trailer, but I saw that poster and I was like, what is going on? This guy seems different than he
What's
did
something a
in the
little
last
different
one.
about him?
Yeah, I can't put
Hmm.
my finger on it, but I was like, "What's his d guess I gotta go see this one." Good marketing that you watch and you're like, "What's his deal now? He wasn't like that in the first one." And I gotta say, without getting too into the ending, my audience fucking loved that Iron Maiden moment. People started to clap a little bit after that Kelson moment that we get at the Bone Temple at the end.
I mean, it's a good performance by Ray Fiennes, but it's a good performance by Kelson too. So like it's like deserves some kudos. Like, oh wow, well played, sir.
And visually, it's just well shot and directed. I think Nia DaCosta handled that scene very well because that could kind of turn out to be laughable. But you're right there with him. You're like, yeah, he's doing it. He's fucking winning them over.
There's
He's
multiple things in this movie that, if handled not correctly, could have been super goofy. There's that, the Iron Maiden thing, and then there's several Duran Duran needle drops because that's like what Kelson listens to in his spare time. But like when they're having those montages where like Duran Duran's playing, he's just like hanging out with Samson. Like that
mm-hmm.
could have been disastrous if it was like
Yeah.
to me, I'm like in awe, and it's almost like there's like a tenderness to it where I'm just like, damn, that I was. Yeah, all the Kelson stuff like kind of just blew me away, like it did in the last movie. He's like probably just like one of my favorite characters in a zombie movie, like my favorite character from this franchise, I think.
No, you're so right. In the wrong hands, that could have been laughable, but I was right on board with it. All of the fucking Kelson Samson stuff. But like going back to the this movie is two separate parts thing. The more conventional stuff, Spike, like the horror stuff with Jimmy and Spike and all the other Jimmys, that one, I can't quite put my finger on who like, Spike is kind of the POV, but the POV hops around in that one a little bit 'cause that's I don't know, Spike just isn't the focus. There's a moment where Spike is completely, like, out of the barn, and we're just watching the other characters in the Jimmy squad do their thing.
It's almost like Jimmy Crystal is hijacking the movie for a little bit because, like, it's not even because there's the other Jimmy who, like, you know, kind of takes Spike under her wing, but she's not really the POV. Like, we see some things like where she discovers where Kelson is, but like she's also absent for some scenes, like that barn scene. Like, she's just sitting outside with Spike, so it really kind of just feels like just similar to how he just like takes that house captive, that like Jimmy's just like pointing a knife at the camera crew and was like, come on, this is my movie now.
But even in that whole section of the movie, it will jump to moments like, one thing that I kind of love that these movies do, like the visual language they've kinda set up for themselves a little bit is it'll just randomly drop you into a scene where you're watching other characters. You're like, "But I don't know who these people are. I don't know what their deal is." And then you see a chain of events happen, and then whatever happens, eventually you pick up the like, "Oh, this is how this is going to affect our characters, one of our characters," whether it be a scene with Samson or a scene with these 3 people where one character gets killed and you think the character being killed and turning into a zombie is going to be what's the substantial part, but no, it's actually the 2 characters who survive that are the substantial part of this and who are going to have a hand and affect the characters within the main storyline that we're watching. But while Spike does get sidelined in those parts, I kind of think at the end of the day, this movie and whether you like this or not, I think it really depends on what you want out of this movie. I think this movie is trying to be a Samson movie.
I really love the Samson stuff because I was not expecting him to be. You don't think of infected as like characters. Like there's like cool infected designs or cool zombies looking zombies in like other zombie movies where it's like, oh, that's a really iconic design, or that's a cool looking, like monster or something. But since the last movie kept hammering home of like, no, they're us. They're just, they have a virus. Like they're not, there's not really much different between us and the infected. And then this is kind of like doubling and tripling down on that. It was like, yeah, they're sick. So like if you treat them, maybe you can start to restore some of that humanity. That it's not just, they're not just like mindless monsters forever. And I think the way it's done is so brilliant because it could come off as cheesy in a movie, like where like a character quote unquote discovers a cure or whatever, but none of it feels easy or like a cheat. And then it also kind of helps that I mean, this maybe could die with we're already in spoilers and jumping around, but Kelson's dead at the end, and he was really the only one who was looking into this. For all we know, Kelson could be one of the last doctors ever, at least on the island, because within the UK, because uh, it didn't seem like there's a lot of them left, and whatever breakthroughs he made, like I don't know that Samson, even if he can like communicate now, like Samson be able to like tell other people like, okay, these are the drugs Kelson gave me, and this is the drug combo, and we can reverse it with this. Like, it's like this might have just been a one-off thing.
Yeah, that's what me and my girlfriend were talking about. Damn, if this were a one-off thing, I wouldn't hate it. And I didn't expect 28 years to be the zombie franchise to land on having a cure and finding a cure for this thing. I'm thinking like Dawn of the Dead doesn't do that. The Walking Dead is something where I don't think they ever got there. They're still going. It's something that doesn't really seem to successfully get pulled off in zombie media, at least not from anything I've seen. But man, this movie, I didn't think this would be the franchise, but they successfully pull it off in a way where I'm like, yeah, that totally works. I buy that. And like maybe they're not going to stop this thing, but I buy it.
I don't question it for a second. Yeah.
Yeah, and if they did eventually get to a point where it's like maybe we'll stop this thing, maybe other people are start to figure this out. Maybe Samson was able to retain this in his drug psychosis and is able to figure it out or experiment himself. I don't know how far the next one's gonna take the Samson thing, but I
I
feel
hope
like
I hope he sticks around because then that could also be a thing where maybe people are intentionally trying to capture Samson in a way where it's like, oh, he's the cure to unlocking it, but then, it's like, well, he's been cured now, so we need to respect his autonomy. And it's like with any kind of like reverse engineering of a cure, it can almost be like a Last of Us scenario where it's like, well, would that kill him? Like what if like the way to like figure out to like recreate what he had worked with him, that process would actually, he wouldn't survive. And it's like, well, then do we do that?
and I think maybe the way we get there in the next movie is by Samson recognizing Spike in some way, and that's setting off a chain of events because that's Samson's only link to this world and the only way like other what is any other character's reason to not immediately try to kill Samson? I guess he is kind of indestructible unless you shoot like a giant hook through him. But I don't know how the movie gets there. So it being a
And
one-off.
Spike saves Samson's son, like that zombie, that infected baby was is for to believe, like, right?
Yeah.
That was Samson's kid. So, and are we going to loop back around? Because don't go back to Spike's island. Like when we cut away to those other survivors, I thought for a second we were going to see Aaron Taylor Johnson like on the hunt or something, like maybe trying to find Spike or something. But so they're all still on the board, maybe, or maybe he's just like kind of wrote it off of like, ah, my son's dead. I'm just like, I don't know. He probably died out there. I'm just gonna stay on this island and get drunk.
Yeah, well, not much time has passed, and the tide looked like it had just started coming up when Aaron Taylor Johnson was running out at the end of the movie being, "Spike!
Yeah.
Spike!" I was kinda glad that he didn't pop up in this movie. I was just like, "This movie doesn't need another thing happening in it."
There's already enough going on, but I do find his character fascinating because it's like I I I I don't even think of him as like a bad dad. Like that he's just like he's in an impossible like how do you even fucking raise a kid in that world in that scenario? And so yeah, she's not loyal to the mom, but the mom's kind of already gone at that point too. It's like so how do you navigate that? And then like trying to raise your kid to be tough enough to survive in that world. I'm like, yeah, he's doing the best he can, kind of. I kind of sympathize with his character
With Spike?
with Aaron Taylor Johnson because Spike
Oh, Aaron Taylor
sees him
Johnson.
as like a liar, like, oh, you lied to me about mom and you unfaithful to her. But I'm like, I don't know, man. He's doing his best.
Yeah, you had an argument, well, it wasn't an argument, we got in a fight. No, you had,
Yeah.
made, your defense for the dad, and that kinda turned me around. I softened up a little bit on Aaron Taylor Johnson after hearing your piece on him. You wrote a very serious think piece.
I mean, yeah, he's not a perfect guy. He fucks up for sure, but like, yeah, I think just given the circumstances, it's like there's not the like it's slim picking for dads and father figures in this world. So I feel like you could end up a lot worse than Aaron Taylor Johnson. Like at least he's like teaching you to how to hunt and survive.
I do wonder what the 3rd movie is going to kind of pick out what it's going to bring over from these previous 2, because like we said, Aaron Taylor Johnson, his face doesn't grace this movie, not one frame. Then we lose Jimmy and basically all of the Jimmys. Their whole belief system is crumbled by the end of it, and they're like, "Yeah, there is no God. This is a science-driven world." Everybody's in a very different and specific place. You took Kelson off the board. And then there's like shit from the first movie where we're seeing flashes of weird stuff and people wearing masks when we're at the island. And I'm wondering how much of that was style choices and Danny Boyle kind of being like, I want to incorporate, because I know he was having stuff from like, oh, this is like British history, and we're showing how we repeat, like history repeats itself, and we just do the same thing, and we set these things in place, like we like are almost like imitating society and an imitation of ourself at a certain point. So I just don't know what the intention with like all of the flashes of the people wearing masks and stuff from the first movie are, but I'm just
Because we
curious.
also see the Jimmys put on mask kind of that look kind of similar to those masks that we saw on the island. So I don't know if that's like to what you said, the broader point of like that this is just like this cyclical nature of humanity or like maybe like kind of the regression of us that we're going tribal again in a certain way. Because yeah, I'm not sure 100%, but like that definitely seems like that's part of what they're grappling with. But there's so many things on the table now because like yeah, I mean, we're already in spoilers at the end. Yeah, we have Jim there at the end with the little girl and no Naomi Harris. I mean, we don't know what the story is there. Maybe she died, or maybe she went off, or we just don't know yet. So like all of that's still on the table. I feel like it's more likely that she just died in the intervening years. Like it's been a long time. So like Jim just might be a single dad. Also, is there some intentionality into because like Jim's baked in. He was the original character from the first movie, but then we have a whole faction, an evil cult called Jimmy's, and so Spike escapes the Jimmy's, and the first guy he's gonna meet after that is named Jim. like, like is that setting up like some kind of joke or like what was Spike's reaction? I mean, obviously Spike understands the concept of like people with multiple people can have the same name or similar kind of names, but I don't know, it might be kind of jarring if you're like a little kid and you were just escaping this death cult, and then this guy's like, "Hey, my name's Jim." Like, "Ah, fuck."
It's gonna be more awkward when him and that girl realize that they have the same name.
She she's like, "I'm Jimmy too."
Yeah, but it's like, damn it, how are we gonna? It's talking is gonna be weird now. Knowing who we're talking about or to.
Yeah, and then Samson, we gotta get Samson to join their merry band. They're basically this is basically in my mind like an RPG party that they're building. You know, like we got Spike, we got uh what does she say her real name is at the end, like Kelly or something. Uh, so we got her. We got Jim, we got Jim's daughter, and then Samson. That's basically like, yeah, they're just gonna roam around the post apocalypse. Like, yeah, and what to what end is it gonna be about? Uh, like the cure that exists within Samson, or like replicating that, or what will it be? Because like they could go in any number of directions now.
I do like that their group is kind of like the Thunderbolts a little bit, if you think about it.
It's a little Thunderbolts coded, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the gym thing. I actually totally forgot that he was even a part of these movies because I was so sucked into the Bone Temple. I was living in the temple, man, living that on temple time.
This is so much its own world that, like, yeah, I'm not really even thinking about the original movie. Of course, you see Killian Murphy, and then I immediately my mind goes back there, and then you start hearing that, that the guitar, like the theme from the original.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
and then
got pretty pumped. It was hard not to get pumped, even though I was afraid that this is some weird studio fulfillment that we're getting right now, and I hope they just do something with Jim that doesn't. I trust Alex Garland and Danny Boyle, but I was just like, these movies don't really need Jim to come back. I would be fine if he didn't come back at all.
they could do the anti like legacy sequel thing, and like he just fucking gets bit at the very beginning of the third one. Like they kind of trick people into seeing it because Killian Murphy's face is on the poster, those big blue eyes, and then like after the credits, he's like, "Hey, welcome to my cabin," and it's like, "Oh!"
Wha- what if the third one just got super fan servicey and Jim dies? But before he dies, he's like looking up at a bird picking in a body, and he's like, "Get out of it, get out of it!" Then he kicks it, and the bird flies off, and blood gets in his eye, and we're like, just like Brendan Gleeson.
And then the Force Ghost of Brendan Gleeson shows up and is like, "Remember, Jim, you can't go after the kid when you turn."
Remember, Jim, I was a cab driver. I knew all the streets. I was a black cabbie.
Or you go super fan servicey where Jim gets infected and Samson's like, "I'll train you." You could be an infected but a badass now. We're gonna become an infected warrior squad. So
Oh,
those are all the bad ideas that they can do.
what about a good idea? What if Spike walks up and hands him his lightsaber and
And then Jim just
he, he,
tosses it.
he tosses it?
And then the fans are like, "That's so disrespectful to the original movies. Like, why would he toss it?" And then they'll make
Yeah,
another movie where Jim's Force Ghost makes a comment like, "I'm just kidding. I would never toss my lightsaber." That would be so stupid.
I, I would love to see half of that actually. I don't know about the Force Ghost thing. I think we're back in bad idea territory.
Like the Force Ghost. You don't want to see Dr. Kelson show up and be like, "Use the Duran Duran."
I would be fine if Dr. Kelson was just inexplicably alive in the next one, still at the Bone Temple, or his ghost was guarding the Bone
Yeah,
Temple.
there's ghosts now. Whatever, deal with it.
Yeah, this is a ghost movie.
You thought it was
That's
just
so good.
science. Well, I guess there's ghosts too. There's I don't know.
I know we kind of just went pretty quickly to the ending. I mean, we're an hour deep, but I'm gonna jump back a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I
Um,
mean, we were kind of jumping all around over stuff.
no, I think that we we landed in a good place though. We I think they're listening because I don't think they started filming the third one yet. So they're listening right now and they're taking notes of our ideas. And there are no bad ideas in a pitch meeting, as they say.
Yeah,
So I think everything we said is going to make it into
good.
28 years later Rise of Spike.
The rise of Samson's dong. I'm so glad that because in the previews
We didn't see it rise at all,
I know that
actually.
that's for the next one, but in the previews, we only saw clove Samson, and I thought Nia DaCosta was like censoring Samson or something. I was like, "How dare you cover up his body?" But it's like, no, actually, him putting on clothes is part of his arc. Of like, the clothes equals human. Like
Yeah.
when you put pants on, that means you're ashamed of your nakedness and you're human. And I'm curious of like what what makes him lose his status as out because like the other infected are like ready to pounce on him like when he's sitting in that train car in the one scene where he's like having the flashback. So I'm like, he's still like infected. So I'm like, does he have less of a viral load now that they can smell or sense, or does he just smell more human because he was hanging out with Kelson? Like, what is it that they know that has changed that they can now fuck with him? Is it just like they're just the vibes are off? They're like, you're fucking weak now.
Pluribus has kind of changed the way that I think about viral infections now. And guys, go hop over to the These Guys Got Juice feed. Doug and I have some really good Pluribus talk over there. And if you haven't checked that show out, check it out on Apple TV Plus.
It's great.
Spoilers, I guess, for like conceptual parts of Pluribus, but so when they all attacked him, my mind went to, okay, this is a virus and they have a biological imperative to spread. And he is no longer like infected in the way that they are. I don't know. I was trying to bring it back to a biological imperative, but the difference is Samson is still infected because he can get bit and
And he's fine.
nothing
Like
can
it
happen to
doesn't
him.
reverse like what Kelson did. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just out of whatever psychosis that the infection has everybody in, which is pretty a pretty wild revelation. The only thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way in the movie is when we got the zombie POV and we got to see what they were attacking. It was hard. That was the part where I'm like, this is tiptoeing into comical a little bit, whereas Nia DaCosta was really able to not land in a comical area with all of the other stuff we had talked about. Those cuts were when they cut to what the infected were seeing. It was like I, not 100% working for me, but I like it didn't ruin anything for me.
I like the concept of that they're experiencing psychosis. It's like Kelson said, like I've seen infected attack a baby viciously. So like what are you actually seeing? But wouldn't it be more interesting if like what the POV of what they're seeing is like specific to that person? Because it kind of just seems like when we see the Samson POV, it's like, oh, they're just seeing like a monster or something and like going crazy and attacking it. But that just felt like a little generic, you know,
Yeah.
what they're seeing should be like, yeah, personal to them.
No, I agree. Generic, it kind of surprisingly generic, but I do understand that feels like a difficult thing to portray and a difficult idea to kind of really land on. Like if you're going to go into the
You
POV,
need to quickly visualize and get across that idea of like, okay, they're seeing something that's like making them want to like attack it in a blind rage and like what do you show besides like a fucking scary monster that I don't know, show Charlie Kirk or something. I don't
I can't think of many things that you really could show, so maybe they landed in the best place, but it's just maybe they were going in an area that you were just destined to not really hit a home run with when you're starting to tiptoe into zombie POV. It wasn't entirely successful for me, but it didn't like hurt the movie in any drastic way because, like you said, I agree with you. Like I like the psychosis thing, and I like Kelson, his reversal of that. That whole thing worked so hard for me, and I had mentioned that I had gasped at a certain point. The moment I'm talking about is when he says moon, when
Moon.
Samson says moon. And shout out to Chi Lewis Perry. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his name, Chai Lewis Perry, whichever way. He's fantastic in this movie. He's just great. He go him and his work with Ray Fiennes is incredible. I love it.
It's so funny to see them promoting the movie and then him just, like, dressed like, with glasses and a normal dude. I'm like, "Why aren't you naked? You're supposed to be naked and running around rampaging."
It wasn't until I was watching the movie where I was like, "Oh, that's the dude I've been seeing in the fucking interviews with everybody."
Yeah.
But
He's great, yeah.
when he says moon, I was like, it made me gasp, and I almost laughed at myself a little bit because of how ridiculous of a thing that was to gasp at. But
It's not ridiculous. It's not like you
it was
saw
so
Anthony
well done.
Ramos. Yeah, no, it was
Yeah, not, like I saw two callbacks on the Morbid feed to our Twisters app.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised too because I didn't know that that's what we were like. Obviously, Kelson's POV on the infected has been established, and like we know that he's trying something, but I kind of just like wasn't even thinking it was gonna work. I was like, okay, the best he can hope for is Samson doesn't smash his face in while he's drugged or something. And but like like actually like restoring humanity, I don't know. This franchise is too bleak for anything like that to be successful. But then him to actually like be speaking is like crazy. And then the last words he says to Kelson at the end where he's like thanks him. It's like powerful, moving stuff.
It is, and it just yeah, I feel like you need this levity because these moments with Kelson, I loved it. I didn't want to leave, and even the like
They're a good hang.
horrific. Yeah, they are, and the Jimmy stuff with Spike was very interesting, and, the horror was again, it delivered, but what this movie does so masterfully, and I feel like it just Alex Garland and Nia DaCosta, they knocked it out of the park, and Ray Fiennes and Chi Lewis Perry's performance with Samson is in the first movie when Samson is around, I'm terrified every second for the characters thinking he's going to come out of this drug thing, he's going to rip everybody's heads off. He's fucking terrifying, and when you're in the second movie, you get a little bit of that terrifying for a second when Kelson's drugging him. There's a point where it's like you're letting him get a little too close, buddy, and I'm glad he
Yeah.
knocked him out when he did, or he put him in the drug state when he did. But what this movie does so well, and it's such an amazing flip that I didn't expect, is at a certain point, I'm afraid for Samson. I'm like, keep Jimmy and his fucking asshole group away from Samson. Protect Samson. I don't want anybody to hurt Samson.
Yeah,
It
like he's gonna be more vulnerable in this state. So like I didn't want anything to happen to him because I loved their bond. And like yeah, I didn't even know it was gonna end culminate in like him like fully being able to talk or being I feel like you should put cured in quotation marks because, like we said, like he's still infected, but it's like the thing that's making him attack people has been addressed. Like his psychosis has been treated, so it's like he's no longer like a raving threat. Like he's like closer to being an intelligent like person, like with his own agency now.
Yeah, and you grow to care for him as like you said, a person with agency. It's so well done. And another quick shout out to Nia DaCosta. There's something she does with Samson very early on in the movie that I just love. It's so quick, but it feels like an homage to old school zombie movies and just the concept of zombies. I'm thinking like Return of the Living Dead, I want to say. But Samson, there's a point after he rips a dude's skull off or like face off or whatever, and he rips the top of their skull open and is eating their brains. And that got a from people in my audience. But I thought I was like, yeah, that's old school zombie, and they're doing it in not a super cheesy, dumb way. Then they're pulling it off.
It's just straightforward, like, you're like, "Oh, that's yeah, there would be some kinda nourishment in that part of the skull, and he's powerful enough to just fucking, because skulls are, like, fucking heavy, but he's big Hulk like him, he can break through that shit, no problem."
And I love that when 28 days and 28 weeks were just the only two things we had, there was a bit of a debate as to whether these were zombies. People were like, you can't call them zombies, call them infected. And I love how it almost seems like they are purposely messing with the audience where people call them zombies. They have zombie like behaviors, but then they go to things where it's like, oh no, this is a psychosis type of thing, or we are, tiptoe into actual like classic zombie stuff like this is hell on earth happening right now. But I just like a lot of the shit that they're playing with and how they are kind of leaning more into no zombies. Yeah, like
Right.
like they kind of just dismantled that online argument.
Yeah, which I always thought was silly because I'm like, everything goes by its own rules. Like, like, are you just gonna not count and like viral zombies at all because original zombies were all voodoo and magic? So it's like, if we're just being rigid, it's like those are the only zombies, and like that would discount like a lot of Romero stuff or whatever. So it's like drawing a line at any point is kind of arbitrary. It's just like it's up to like what are the rules of this universe, and that's what I love about these last two movies specifically, is that we kind of keep expanding on like what that means. You get a little bit of that in Weeks with the like, it's very clear that the dad is like not just a normal infected, like that there's like something in there, like when he's like chasing down his kids. But I feel like this is like a much like more thorough elaboration on that in the 28 years later movies, where it's like, yes, no, there is still a person inside there.
Yeah, that 28 weeks, that was almost like we have a concept of an idea in this thing, and we're just kind of what if the dad is like the leader and they don't really do anything substantial or meaningful with it?
They don't want to commit to like making that mean anything, so they don't like, have a scientist be like, oh well, he's clearly blah blah blah, and like the alpha of the zombies or something. So like, yeah,
Yeah.
they just use that for the purpose of cool zombie set pieces.
I mentioned this in our 28 weeks episode, which a movie I don't even dislike, but there is a point in that movie where they do literally burn every interesting potential storyline and path that that movie could take, and they're just like, no, we're not interested. Zombie movie, that's what we're doing. These are zombies. But one thing, I do feel like this and them leaning into them being zombies more is an Alex Garland thing.
Absolutely.
He was on the Jeff Goldsmith Q&A around the time Ex Machina came out, and that's actually a great interview if you are interested in screenwriting. That whole podcast is a treasure, their back catalog especially.
I'll
But
check it out.
yeah, Jeff Goldsmith comes on, and the first thing that he says to Alex Garland is, okay, let's settle the 28 days later debate. They're not zombies, they're infected. And then he goes in this big thing while they're zombies. And Alex Garland is like, I kind of thought they're zombies.
Yeah.
And he seems to disagree with that. And I feel like that's almost Alex Garland being like, No, they're zombies. I think they're zombies, so I'm just gonna tell you, people are going to say the word zombie in these movies, which I do really appreciate.
Yeah, and, like, if you're writing it like a zombie movie and thinking of zombies while you're writing it, and then people literally call them zombies in your movie, then it's a zombie movie. Um, there's we've kind of been jumping around, like, the plot. We mentioned, like, the people that the Jimmy's massacre, like, in the middle of the movie, like, that sequence is so brutal, or he calls it charity, you know, like, what he does to them when they're chained up,
Yeah.
which is fucked up, but the one woman gets away, and she's pregnant, and so, we've, like, also thrown around ideas of, like, what else is on the board, like, do we think that that's gonna become a thing, or is that just a moment for Spike because I understandably is like, "Take me with you. I wanna fucking get away from these guys." And you kinda think that she's, like, going to, because you see a child in danger, like, especially as a motherly figure, be like, "Oh, okay, I'll protect you," but her priority is to protect her own child then, so she fucking,
Yeah.
like, attacks like, knees him and then runs off because, like, how can she trust him? And, she that could be a trap or something.
No, that's a good move, and, yeah, that's why they could have him just for that reason, you know? But, I mean, because the other girl, like, does fucking fairy wing dances in the kitchen that
Yeah.
you don't expect that she's gonna be a badass fighter, and they kind of do that intentionally.
When shit goes crazy in that barn, I love that sequence because yeah, you have the one who was doing the tinky winky dance, and she's like about to like murder the fuck out of the guy that they didn't skin. They gave him the choice of like, okay, which finger do you want to fight? And he picks her, and he's definitely gonna lose. But then the woman who's in the rafters watching, like she like shoots some kind, like what does she shoot at the back of her head
It's
that
like a
like
hook.
it's like a hook or something that hooks her head, and then he gets a hold of, like, a gas fucking canister, and he just starts fucking lighting everyone up.
Yeah,
I love how quickly it goes to shit.
that scene was upsetting on just a a number of levels. The so that movie goes to a degree that the first one doesn't really go to, and, maybe it works because Nia DaCosta really withholds on what she's showing you in this moment. They say it's like removal of the shirt or something like that.
And then you can see later they've been skinned, but it's, like, kind of out of focus, like, we never have, like, a straight on shot of the, like, skinned woman or guy, but you can tell that's what happened.
Well, even before that too, it looks like they're cutting off the skin and uneven sections. Like some of them start at the belly, some of them start in other areas, but you can't really see exactly what's going on. These characters are screaming. You know it's horrific,
Like, you're
and you
alive
kind
while
of,
this is happening. That's
yeah,
crazy.
they're alive, they're awake, they're just dangling there. And it, like, you kind of have an idea of what's happening, and there's just screaming going on the whole time. It's pretty upsetting. It's very difficult, at least for me, it was very difficult to watch. It was a very intense experience, especially for how long it goes on. And there are moments where you get a little bit of breaks, like Spike has to run out and throw up. And so then the movie has reasons to take you outside of the barn and relieve
You're
you
like, "Here,
from
let's hang
this.
out here with Spike." It's kind of intense in there.
Yeah, and so you're just left with the horrifying screams, and you don't know exactly what's going on. And then later, it cuts there, and yeah, like you said, it's out of focus. They're dangling there, and when you actually get the reveal, I like thought I was gonna throw open my mouth for a second, like actually before the reveal, I think, because I was like, I know what it is. It's worse than I thought. It's so awful. I don't want to see it,
It's just the
and
casualness of it that makes it so cruel and gross. Because it's it they've done it so many times that it means nothing to them, like, that like, they're not like Spike where they have to fucking throw up, it's so gross. They're just like, "Yeah, that's whatever."
And all for what? It's so horrifying. I mean, this movie, I think intentionally so, I would say is depraved and has depraved thoughts
Yeah.
that Like, you don't really see in a lot of, well, this isn't technically American horror, it's an American studio now. I don't really always know what to call this, because Sony's producing these fucking things now,
Right, but it's like a mainstream, like horror movie. Like it's something that yeah, everyone's seeing.
and you don't really see this level of depravity. I find it I think it's harder to watch than anything I've seen across the Terrifier movies we covered on this feed.
Huh, yeah, it's bad. Because
It's up there with Bring Her Back, I think, and the knife chewing scene, but it's a lot longer, and it almost pushes me to a point where I was like, the movie's gonna lose me. It was so close to losing me, and when they're like, we're gonna de-pants you, and I'm like, I already saw them take off the shirt. I know what taking off your pants means, and there's genitals there, and
Yeah, I don't wanna
oh
see
man,
genital mutilation. They would have lost me if they did that. Probably, I don't
yeah.
know.
The movie was that close to losing me, and the hook in the head, just when I was like, "Thank God
It
something stopped this,
it was a
all of
relief.
this."
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I was so happy for them to be lit on fire because it was like, "Oh, okay, we don't have to keep going with this."
but
But
then
yeah,
the barn is burning, and you see the 2 people hanging are burning. It's, like, all fucking wild, and I'm like, I feel bad for these people again now, because now they're burning and they're skinned, and it's all a mess, and it's so bleak. It's the bleakest thing we'll see all year.
I mean, it's way like you said, it's depraved in a way that there's never really any infected or zombie moments in this that I feel nearly as much of a threat from. Like you see Samson like do a little bit of like kind of hunting in the beginning of the movie, or then when those three people who the two end up at the house, they're running from some infected, like that part's like a little intense, but it's not like terror, like that's what the jimmies instill, because like you said, it's for what they kind of are, like just like the droogs from Clockwork Orange, but like on meth. Like that it's like worse
Yeah.
because I mean, probably just because 'cause they're showing more, but like it's like, you wouldn't wanna encounter any of those guys, but like, yeah, it's that same kind of mentality. I mean, yeah, and the Droogs are also supposed to be like youth out of control, so I guess there's like a crossover element there.
Yeah, that's actually a very good comparison. I didn't think about that, but that's pretty perfect. Clockwork Orange. This almost feels inspired by a Clockwork Orange. I'm not sure if Alex Garland or Nia DaCosta have talked about that at all.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like they probably maybe cut a scene of Jimmy Crystal's, drinking some milk. They thought it was too on the nose.
The zombie stuff was almost fun
It's like a
compared to the Jimmy
relief
stuff.
to cut from the
Yeah,
Jimmies to some infected thing. Or when we're hanging out with my buddy Kelson Samson, I'm like, "All right, this is just the hangout movie of the year." Like, before we were
yeah.
watching, like, some torture porn shit. Now let's go hang out with my buds.
Yeah, my girlfriend was like, "This movie is misery porn," and I was just like, I can't argue with that. There's some beautiful moments, so I can't say it's through and through misery porn, but if you there I wouldn't blame anybody for walking out of this movie. I wouldn't at all.
So in that sense, Spike is still the main POV because you are feeling the revulsion that he is, you know? Like, it's pretty much
Yeah,
like
I almost threw up. He did throw up.
it's like the 40X Spike experience where you're just like, "Oh, fuck. This is what you guys are doing? No."
I did get sprayed with throw up when he threw up, and I wasn't even seeing it 40x, so I don't know what happened. I think someone accidentally turned it on. I know that's a Regal thing. I was at an AMC. So
Yeah, that was weird.
yeah, very weird. Maybe they were trying out something new. Um, yeah, that scene's super horrific. But I mean, God, Nia DaCosta, not to just keep praising her the whole review, but there's just something about the way she handles horror, but too, because the 3 that are in the woods when it's the pregnant lady and the dude who turns and they're going up against the infected. Like you said, you fear for everybody who's going toe to toe with the infected, but at this point, you kind of know it's been years, so these people can probably hold their own. They know what to do. I'm not as afraid for them as I would be like a Spike or a newcomer. But when that guy turns, it's so well shot, and
Yeah.
he's just takes off running, and you think he's going to be something significant, and then he's running towards the fucking girl Jimmy, and it's framed in a way where it's like he's going to be a problem and he's going to overrun and infect all this and it's going to throw this whole shindig off, and it's filmed that way, filmed so well, and then she goes and kills him and it's just great. It's so well
She
done.
does like a dodge roll, like she's like a video game character. It's so badass.
Yeah, it's the setup and just the payoff of the subversion. It's great. This movie like works so goddamn hard for me. I'm not gonna say I didn't expect it, but man, it just I didn't expect to fucking love it as much as I do. I'm so familiar with the first 28 days that I feel weird saying that I like this more, and it's like definitely recency bias, but I want to see this again.
Yeah, I definitely want to see this again. I mean, I like that it's so different, like not just different from 28 Days, but even comparing the years stuff. I mean, obviously there's a through line there with Spike and then the Kelson stuff, but like they feel different, but part of a whole at the same time, if that makes sense, because Nia DaCosta does a good job of like she's not doing like some of the insane Boyle camera movements, but she is still doing like interesting like POV filmmaking, like where the camera's like on Samson as he's moving, or like you're on a weapon as it's being lunged. It's something like she's still there's instilling a kineticness, and it still feels like a part of the same world.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that I don't think there's a single like one of those iPhone bullet time
They didn't do
shots
that
in
in
this
this one,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah, not that I needed it. Nia DaCosta's her own filmmaker, and this movie fits very well in with the visual identity that the last movie set up, but it does also feel like it was directed by its own person with their own sense of visual identity, and it like it's one that works though. I missed the bullet time thing, but I could kind of see like yeah, I don't know. These movies, I think, again, were filmed at the same time, so maybe she just wasn't doing that or didn't know how it would look. That was maybe more experimental in the first one. Maybe it was just more of a thing Danny Boyle was interested in. I don't know why it wasn't used, but I kind of I'm not upset about it, even though I would have liked to. I would have loved to have seen more.
I
But
mean, because
also,
it looks
there was
really
no arrow
cool.
kills either. That
Right.
yeah,
But yeah, Nia DaCosta to me almost feels like that not that she's not willing to add in like larger than life elements, but that she keeps thing a little more grounded, whereas like Danny Boyle's trying to like crank things up to the max, whether it's like with like that kill cam, or even the introduction of the Jimmies is fucking crazy at the end of the first 28 years later, of like they're flipping around and like doing all this like basically like Power Ranger moves and stuff, compared to like they're still crazy in the Bone Temple, but they're not doing like insane acrobatics. It's kind of like s- like toned down to be like, no, they're just like regular crazy killer people.
it's almost like Danny Boyle is kind of like punk or like that British new wave punk, and Nia DaCosta is like underground hardcore. She's got a real grit to her style, at least across the horror movies. Little Woods, I want to say, is a movie she did with Tessa Thompson that I haven't seen.
I
I
need to
really
see
want to
that.
check that out. You should check out The Marvels, dude. I think you'll have fun with that. It's one of Sam Jackson is having fun in that movie. She got
Okay.
him to to smile a little bit and deliver a laugh with that Nick Fury character.
Okay, that sounds like worth the price of admission alone. But yeah, I definitely want to see Little Woods, is it? And then Hedda. Like she is a compelling filmmaker to me. Like, and I liked her Candyman. Like I was more impressed with the visuals and the directing of it. Like I kind of had some issues with, it felt like the script was missing, like it almost felt like there's just like a chunk of that movie missing, or like that they just like tore out like 20 minutes of the movie. But like visually, I think that movie is incredible.
Yeah, I really vibed with her Candyman. I love the work that she's doing. Is there anything else in 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, that you wanted to touch on, something that we may have forgotten before we wrap it up?
Let's see. Talked about Force Ghosts. We talk about Kelson being okay and just being alive again the next one, which will happen. Um, yeah, I feel like we covered it all. I mean, it's not like it feels like a lot happens, but also similarly, it's like not that crazy of a movie in terms of being overstuffed. It just feels like you've been through a lot after you've seen it. But like by the time the two halves come together, it's like, okay, well they were pretty contained, and it's not like that this train was going off the rails or anything.
Yeah.
Like, not I never, of course, expected, like, that Spike was gonna, like, break bad or whatever and, like, give into the bloodlust of the Jimmies, but do you think he'll be changed by this? Like, that he'll be, like, more jaded and cynical? Like, will he even be open to the idea of trusting Jim? Like, will he just, like, have, like, major trust issues now of, like, is everyone out here besides Kelson a fucking psycho?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a big growing experience for Spike, and we're going to see, kind of like I said, I think there's going to be a ripple effect that we're going to see happen from this movie. My big question is, who's going to be the main focus of the third one? Are we going to find out that this isn't a Spike trilogy, that we're hopping around for each movie? Is Killian going to be more of a POV?
I hope it's just Spike and Killian, like, informs his arc. Like, the Jim is can still
Yeah.
be important, but, like, let's keep it, like, in terms of, like, if this is a legacy sequel, that the new generation should be the focus.
Yeah. I do want to quickly talk about some details from the last, like, fourth of the movie.
Oh, sure.
I'd say that we haven't gotten too into Jimmy and Kelson, their official meeting and them
Love that.
spotting Kelson. So Jimmy's group thinks that Kelson is old Nick, which is Satan, and Jimmy says that Satan is his dad.
How'd you feel about that, learning that the British called the devil Old Nick? Did you take offense to
I
that?
I've said it before on a bunch of other podcasts. When a movie has a character named Nick, they fucking say the words Nick a bunch. And this seems to be the case for this movie, but I didn't know what they were saying for a little while. It took me a little bit to pick up on, like, oh, old Nick is Satan. That wasn't super clear immediately.
I didn't catch it until, like, right before they go to Kelson, kind of, like, they kept saying Old Nick, I was like, "Is that just, like, their name for God or something?" I was like, "Well, kind of, I guess."
Their accents are a little hard to kind of understand at times too, so I think maybe they might have cleared it up earlier, but
Yeah.
when when he is looking through the binoculars at Kelson, in my head, I'm like, are we gonna get a moment where he goes up to Kelson and is like, "Hey, so here's the thing, guy. I kinda lied to all these people." And while we do get an awesome, like, philosophical, theological conversation about Satanism and atheism, something like Satanism and being an atheist, something you don't really get that much. It's not just a debate that happens. It was so great. I loved living in that moment. These two characters, it almost felt like fucking Doctor Doom and Captain America meeting or something. These two people from vastly different worlds. And when Jimmy walks into the Bone Temple, my girlfriend was like, "I hope this scares him." And I was like, "I think it does." And
Yeah.
I like that he had a respect for Kelson, even though he does threaten him at the end of their interaction after being like, "Yeah, can so here's the thing," after
Yeah.
doing the thing that I thought he was gonna
Which
do.
is funny. It's almost like a sitcom scenario of like, I lied to my friends. Can you cover for me?
Yeah, I love that they go there and Kelson does it and he gives it his all. He goes theatrical, and at a certain point, I was thinking, okay, I'm wondering if this is gonna lose me a little bit. I wonder if this is gonna lose them more so,
I thought
actually.
maybe he was going too big and they would like see through it or something. I was worried
Yeah,
about that.
but they end up eating it up, and he's like basically being Satan and being like everybody kneel, and it's such a like again in the hands of a lesser filmmaker this could have been ridiculous, but it worked for me. It worked for I think everybody in my audience.
My
And
audience was loving this shit, especially the part where he gives the like the decrees that Jimmy told him to say, but then when he decides to add another thing at the end that he needs to sacrifice, and Jimmy's like, no, 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 it like just the way that that he was playing that scene, like that was cracking up my audience.
yeah, because I was like, is Kelson enabling and perpetuating this villain for our third movie? Is he going to go after the island? He's just going to make it his mission to skin everybody. And I was like, this is so fucked up. And it got so dark because I started thinking, this is so fucked up how many times this guy has just murdered people. Again, for what? It like that's the hardest thing to swallow where it's like, for what?
For
All
the
for
devil.
nothing. Yeah, it's so stupid, like, in a way that like, I enjoy in my movies, where,
Right.
like, my it's just a character motivation where I'm like, "Oh my god, kill this guy, kill him," and when Kelson flips the script on him after seeing Spike, I was like, "God, this couldn't have happened soon enough,"
People were
and
ready
he
to cheer when they're like, "Oh, they're gonna crucify
yes.
Jimmy." Yeah.
Everybody and same thing for my audience. I had it was the same vibe where I felt like people were like, "Yes, kill this fucking monster." It's like a Morton Joe dying, or but like worse. He's such a awful fucking villain. I can't think of anybody like many other villains where you're so satisfied at the thought of their death.
Yeah,
Like
it's
Joffrey, maybe in Game of Thrones. I don't know who.
yeah, yeah, I guess, but yeah, because it's like there's nothing redeeming about Jimmy Crystals. Like there's a and it's already seated with the one girl, Kelly, that like she is planning to usurp him because I like she says to Spike like I don't even think he's really old Nick's son, but that's because so it's like interesting to have these like different tiers of belief where it's like she's still a Satanist, but she thinks that he's bullshitting them about his like divine or unholy right to rule, and so she wants to take him out, but then so what is that going to do of collapsing her whole belief system of like, oh no, that was all bullshit. So that'll be interesting to see in the next one.
No, it will be. And I do just like how matter of fact that realization is. And I gotta say, this whole time, I'm worried for Samson. I'm thinking about him. He's in the back of my mind the entire time the scene is happening because I don't want him to come back and get got. But yeah, they crucify Jimmy, Saint Saint Paul, Saint Peter, one of the
I
saints
think Peter was
style.
the one upside down. Yeah.
And one of the apostles crucified
Yeah.
upside down. Yeah, they crucify him in that way. I don't know if there was any link to that they were trying to make. I think it was just the satanic symbolism, the inverted cross. They were trying to flip it on its head.
It seems bad either way you get crucified because it's like it's something to do with like the your lungs like are or like fill up or something like you can't you stop being able to breathe.
Yeah, I think that's correct. And you love to see it. You love to see it happen to him. It's just great.
I was almost upset when it looked like an infected was grabbing him. I was like, "No, leave him up there. Let him suffer." Like, I don't want him getting, like, you know, ripped apart quickly or getting a quick death. I'm like, let him you can eat him after he, chokes to death or something."
Yeah. Even though I did appreciate those quick zombie jump scares, that's a thing that was
It got
from
me.
28 days, 28 weeks that they've managed to hold on to. Yeah, they got you. They got my girlfriend every time. They got me too. It like really just jolts you awake and brings you into the movie if you're sucked out for a second.
Because it's like first person from his POV while he's upside down in the cross and he's like looking around. And at first I was like, oh, okay. Because I knew it was gonna happen, but it still got me.
Yeah, one of the most effective jump scare endings, I think, even though it's not really like a jump scare ending in the way that we had talked about on Anne in the Apocalypse.
Right.
It's it's along those lines, but it really works. It would be, I guess, considered a jump scare ending if these movies didn't end with a Horizon style preview of what's going to happen in the next movie.
Then it would have just been like the ending of Sinister or something where it's like, oh, Bagul.
And yeah, aside from that last like fourth with Kelson, the other thing I really loved is Samson on the train getting flashbacks from the past.
I
I thought
love
that was
that I
so
don't
well
have a
done.
ticket.
Yeah, it's so great, and then he's surrounded by the infected and has to fight him off. Comes out all bloody. I listened to a YouTube reviewer last night talking about, it, and they're like, he fights them off without even breaking a sweat. I was
It
like, no, he
looked pretty
doesn't.
hard.
Yeah, he gets bit. Yeah, he was there for a while. It's like a different time of day when he comes out of that thing.
He has an advantage because he is like smarter and larger, but it's still like taxing. He's not invincible.
Yeah, those are the last things I kind of wanted to touch on, though. You got any final thoughts or any scenes you want to go back to before we wrap this up?
I feel like we've hit on all of them. It's just, yeah, I just wonder what Samson's life is like without his best bud. I mean, no
Hmm.
Kelson. So, um, yeah, where's Samson go from here? It would be interesting to see how they work that into, because there is that whole when you have a zombie baby or an infected person give birth in a movie, you're like, well, this is gonna matter. But then in the first movie, it's like it's just a normal baby, and they take
Yeah,
her
they're
back
like,
to
it's
the
not
island.
infected.
They just take her back to the island. I mean, they kill the mom because she's about to attack, but then there's nothing wrong with the baby. But is Samson still gonna like want to find the baby? And even though he can talk, he still can't get close to that island because they'll be like, "It's a fucking alpha," and start opening fire on him. So, like, how do they reconcile that?
I wouldn't be surprised nor upset if that baby didn't carry any weight besides it being a beautiful moment when Samson gets reunited with the baby.
Oh, I don't need the baby to be special. I just mean like, yeah, how are they going to navigate that of like how can he even have access to it since he like will not be let on that island? So it's like, is Spike gonna like snatch the baby for him or something, or like he reunites with Spike, and then Spike is like, all right, I'll get your son.
No, I've got the same questions, and these movies have really, it almost feels episodic in a way. The fact that there's still things that were left open from the first movie that haven't been resolved. I really like what has been set up here, and I can't wait for 28 Years Later 3, whatever the hell that's going to be called.
And they're just and there's storylines that aren't being done in any other zombie things. Like, just break down like what we were saying of like, yeah, how is our main character going to steal the baby for that zombie guy and get it back to him? Like, that's not something that happens in these movies.
Yeah, so I have no idea what they're gonna do with this third one. I have no idea what they're gonna do with Killian or Samson, what threads they're gonna choose to what needles they're gonna choose to thread, whatever the fucking phrase is.
Yeah.
But I loved this movie. It seems like you were mostly positive on this movie.
I really, really liked it, yeah. I mean, I still like, the first one better, but yeah, I wanna see it again. Like, I just love this franchise. I would not to dig on Weeks, I put all of these, like, far above. It's just with Weeks, it's the thing that you said where, like, after a certain point, they kind of just jettison, like, the interesting, like, unique to 28, years later universe thing, and it's like, we're just gonna do a zombie outbreak thing. And like that's where that movie loses me. Whereas these new movies definitely keep their eye on, like, what can we do that's unique to this world and to these characters.
Yeah, I get that. When it comes to a conventional zombie movie, 28 Weeks, I think, does deliver for me.
Oh, it's fun. It's like a fun zombie action movie. Yeah,
And it gets you in and out. I think it's under an hour 30. It respects your time,
I
which
appreciate
I
that. Yeah,
appreciate. Yeah. So, it's not a perfect movie. It's definitely a movie that I like. I'm pretty sure I like more than other people because it was like the first horror movie I ever saw, and the first horror movie I saw in theaters. It might not be the first horror movie I ever saw, but the first one where I saw was locked in a dark room and terrified out of my goddamn mind. And I feel like whatever movie that ends up being for you, you kind of by default are just like, well, no, you know what I mean? It kinda just ends up having
you're
important
bonded
to it.
to it for forever. Yeah, yeah, I get what you're saying, but that people do like Weeks. Like, I think, like, that's not like, it's some people even put it over Days. Like, I've heard that opinion, like, of not just like one person throw that out there.
I think it's been reclaimed in the past couple years, but it was one where when I got into movies seriously, there were movies that I grew up from, like, the later parts of grade school that I loved that I found out, like, people shit on a bit. 28 Weeks Later was one where I was, like, surprised, "Oh, people don't like that?" And then Disturbia, the Shia LaBeouf teenage Rear Window movie.
That movie's all right. I don't have anything against Disturbia.
And then the Simpsons movie was another one where I was like, "Well, people don't like this? What?"
I think that just is because turning on the Simpsons, like, of the series going on for so long, and that just reflects back on the movie because of, like, when it came out and, like, where the show went after that. Because the movie itself is fine. Like, there's some funny bits in
Yeah,
it.
it's got some good jokes.
Tom Hanks is in
Yeah, the best
it.
bit, one that I think about all the time is the SOP sign where
That's
they're like,
something weird about that sop sign.
10 out of 10 bit." I'm almost laughing now. I'm
Or when
having to
he's
hold it
caught
back.
between a rock and a hard place and he keeps getting swung from side to side. Or there's when he's flipping through the Bible and he's like, "There's no answers in this book."
It's great. Maybe I'll throw on the Simpsons movie tonight while I'm waiting for my girlfriend to get here. I definitely wanna see the Bone Temple tomorrow. I think I got some free time, some alone time, while my girlfriend's out living her life.
Everyone's vacationing at the Bone Temple. It's a great place to go.
Yeah,
Bring your kids. It's
I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna check myself. I should have checked myself in for a 2-night stay, but I didn't. Gotta go back.
gotta go back.
Hey guys, it's Nick. Just popping in here real quick to say something I forgot to bring up in the episode about the movie and its themes and the nature of evil. Danny Boyle had said in an interview that 28 years later was about the nature of family and the Bone Temple is about the nature of evil. A big focus of the movie, as we've discussed in this episode, is one's belief system and this debate between an atheist and a Satanist. The movie is delivering a message of man is the real evil, and while that's a cliche of zombie movies, I like the approach this movie is taking, which is evil is not something that exists in nature. Religion is the thing that teaches us the difference between good and evil, but the movie exists in a world of science and nature, not spirituality. We determine where the line between good and evil lies. Evil is a choice. And Jimmy has made the choice to lean evil, commit horrific acts, all with his own justification. Then we go to Samson, someone who we've seen do horrific things while infected. But the infection isn't evil, and the violence is a reaction to the psychosis caused by the infection. And when the psychosis is treated, there's no more horrific acts. Samson was never evil, or choosing to commit evil acts. A lion doesn't kill a gazelle because it's evil. Evil does not exist in nature. The nature of evil is humanity. I just really like the way the movie presents and makes this point and wanted to make sure I said this in the episode. Thanks for entertaining my nonsense. Now back to your regularly scheduled program. Anyway, Doug, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. I love talking bone temples, zombies, all the above.
Yeah, do you got any plugs or where can the people find more of your work?
Well, on the These Guys Got Juice feed, we've closed out the year with like a lot of variety. You mentioned the pluribus episodes we did an episode on like uh the new Knives Out. There was a Chair Company episode, and then we also did our like top 10 of 2025. I almost said 2024. Weird, time is fucked up.
It's also a top 12.
Yeah, it became a top 12 because we just couldn't let go of any of our favorites. And yeah, so check that out on the These Guys Got Juice feed. You can follow me on Twitter at the Doug Files, and then on my letterbox, I'm the Duggernaut. So yeah, that's me.
Hell yeah. And guys, make sure to rate and review this podcast 5 stars. Go to Apple Podcasts and leave a review if you don't mind. Tell a friend. You can go follow us on Instagram at morbidcuriosities_pod. You can send us an email with any questions, comments, concerns, or if you want to inquire about being a guest on the podcast, email us at morbidcuriosities10@gmail.com. And I know I keep saying Rec 4 is coming. I promise this isn't a bit. Just trying to get a good time to record that. You heard earlier, I've had some medical stuff going on. It's been a very strange start to the year, a very odd transition period for the podcast. But Rec 4 is going to get there. I just want to make sure it's not a half-hearted episode and it is something worth listening to. So don't worry.
Good things come to those who wait.
Yeah. And then I got another season I'm working on that I'll let you guys know in a later episode as I get closer to getting it set up. It's going to be something a little less traditional than what we've done, an idea that may have been floated before on the podcast. So I look forward to when that can be set up. And of course, Scream 7, we're going to be reviewing that. And Rosia might be coming back for basically whatever new random horror movie we see together. We didn't get to review The Plague because she really didn't want to talk about that, but we talked about Primate. Go check that one out. That's a fun episode.
I need to see that.
I share an opinion where I'm like, Doug's gonna agree with this when he watches this movie 6 months from now when it's on streaming and then potentially listens to this episode.
I might go see it in theaters. Once I learned that it was a guy in a suit and not a CG monkey, I was like, yeah, you got my money.
Oh yeah, guy in a suit. Shout out to him. But
Planet of the Apes movies need to go back to guys in suits.
Dude, that's the opinion I share on the episode.
Oh, shit.
It's funny that you said Rosie is like, no, I don't agree. And I was like, Doug would agree. He'll agree with me.
It's always a guy in a suit's always. And the suit, the tech is good now. Like that monkey, just from the previews, like looks really good.
Yeah. Man. Well, I'm excited to hear your thoughts on fucking Primate. You know, if you want to maybe do a bonus episode, come on and share your thoughts 20 minutes on Primate real quick. We can maybe throw that together or talk about it on another appearance. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if you're back for Scream 7. So
wink, wink. Yeah. I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, thanks for coming back, Doug.
Thanks for having me.
Always love to have you on.
Yeah, love coming on.
We've been Morbid Curiosities.
Love horror. Love yapping about horror.